Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Coming Out Cosmic podcast. My name is Christine Nowinski, ET contactee and channel. It's so weird because my intro was always awakening coach and founder of Coming Out Cosmic, but now I think that it's important and it's fun for me to identify as a channel because that's what I do now. I channel extraterrestrials, which is so freaking weird to say. I never thought that I would actually be doing this. But anyway, it's a little bit of my ego coming out there wanting to use identifiers because it is the ego that wants to identify and separate. But I'm gonna let my ego have a little bit of fun here because wow, it's just like such a new phase in my life that I'm excited about. On today's podcast episode, I wanted to do a little bit more of a life update of what's been going on since I've been channeling ETs. How has my body reacted to channeling ETs? How have my friends and family? What about the people on social media? Like, this is such a different phase in my life. And so I'm excited to kind of share a little bit more about what's been going on. As you can probably tell if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, it's been a couple weeks since I updated you guys or since I uploaded a podcast episode. And that has been pretty intentional. Because when I started channeling ETs, my life did completely change. A little bit about the backstory if you didn't hear. I have always known about channeling ETs, and essentially what I mean by channeling ETs is one allows for messages to be spoken through them by a higher consciousness. And so when I channel ETs, I'm still here. My consciousness is still here, but it's kind of outside of my body and still a little bit attached. So I do still have full control, not full control of my body. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I can absolutely control my body, but my body will still involuntarily kind of like move around in circles, or my head will move back and forth. And that's involuntary, but if I wanted to stop it, I would. But it's the flow of energy from the ETs, from the high frequency of the ETs, that's making my body move in such a way. And so going back to the whole idea of channeling, I allow an extraterrestrial or higher dimensional consciousness to enter my vessel and to speak through me. That is what channeling is for me. That is my process. A quick distinction here about extraterrestrial versus higher dimensional. Extraterrestrials can be of a higher dimension. However, sometimes I say just strictly higher dimensional guidance because Mother Gaia is an energy that I have channeled and that I can channel and that you can channel too, but Mother Gaia is not extraterrestrial. So that would be the distinction. ET versus some other type of higher dimensional consciousness. As you can imagine, it's been quite a roller coaster having tapped into this gift. I haven't really known how to deal with it, and I'm so blessed and thankful to have my mentor, Rebecca Videnoff. Perhaps you follow her on social media too. She is a galactic channel. She's a psychic medium. She's all of the things. She's a spiritual guide, and I will not gatekeep anything here. I think that it's very important that if you want to learn how to channel too, that you have access to the resources that resonate mostly with you. And Rebecca Videnoff is the woman who unlocked my gift. That's the most simple way that I could put it. Now, I have never had any sort of attachment to ETs or an attachment with the idea of channeling. I always knew that this was possible, but I never became attached to, oh, I need to start channeling. Honestly, I just did not see it within my future. I did not see it happening. It's not because I doubted it. It is only because I was not, it's not that I wasn't interested in it. It's just not the path that I would have chosen. And honestly, I think this detachment is what has allowed for me to step into this gift so easily, because I have never been actively seeking ET contact. Let's begin with that. I never was seeking ET contact, and then it started happening to me. I was never seeking to be channeling ETs. And then when I started working with Rebecca, that is when I started channeling ETs. It's so funny because one of my intentions for this year of 2026 was to find a mentor, because I had a beautiful mentor named Shiv, who unfortunately passed away about 2 years ago near Thanksgiving. He was a shaman. I talk about him sometimes on this podcast, and he taught me a lot. He was the first person to introduce me to my Arcturian roots, and I really had a lot of respect for him. I would go to his spiritual classes, and unfortunately those are no longer, and I wanted to find a spiritual mentor like him. That's when Rebecca literally, she slid into my DMs on TikTok. She had purchased one of my ET energy readings on my TikTok live. I did a reading for her, and then we did an energy exchange where she read for me and I read for her. And from that point on, I was like, wow, this is an intuitive match. I feel very connected to Rebecca. Let me do this mentorship with her, which she does. I believe she still has spots for mentorship if you're looking for somebody to mentor you into channeling. I am not mentoring people about channeling, but I am doing one-on-one sessions where I use my gift of channeling to answer your questions about anything, honestly. And I think I had like 2 sessions with Rebecca, and after the second session, I was filming a podcast episode and I just started spontaneously channeling. So all of that is evidenced in my podcast episode. So you can go back in a couple of my previous episodes and see when I started doing this. And I talk a little bit more about my process there. But this is how it all started. It's so funny because they say, you know, humans think they know what's best for them. And so here I am, before I started channeling, really trying to figure out what I was going to do with Coming Out Cosmic next, because I have built a pretty good following on social media. But honestly, for those who are not content creators or social media buffs, I guess, themselves, who don't have any sort of niche that they're intending to build a following on, you don't make a lot of money on social media at all. You really only make money if you have services that you're selling. And even if you have a video that goes viral, like I had a video that got 1.1 million views. I think I made $100 on that, which that sounds amazing, right? $100. However, most videos only get about 1,000 views. And ever since the change in TikTok ownership, I had a video that had like 500,000 views and I made about $400 on that. I had another video that had 750,000 views and I made $14 on that. So that's all to tell you a little bit of, again, me not trying to gatekeep here, but me being very honest about me trying to figure out what's next with Coming Out Cosmic. And so that is when I decided to invest in a spiritual mentor, somebody who could help me on my journey, who also has a social media following. Rebecca does have some, she's got a similar following to me. Not that this matters, but it does matter in the sense that we can resonate and understand what it takes and the energy and everything that goes into content creation. So I really felt like we were a really great match. And so going back to the idea of give me this or something better, as I was, you know, asking the universe for a mentor, and I'm asking for different ways to create new forms of abundance, because I do have 2 under 2, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to go back to work to the 9 to 5 soon, because I'm not making money. How can I make money with Coming Out Cosmic? And so I was setting my intentions. I always had a big vision of what I wanted for Coming Out Cosmic, and I always envisioned it getting to be big enough where I'm helping a lot of people and I'm able to do different types of events and stuff. I just didn't really know how I was going to get there. And the universe decided to provide me something much better than I had ever expected, which was the gift of channeling. So I go into that long diatribe to teach you a couple of lessons here. That, one, you can think you know what you want in this lifetime, and the universe is going to give you something much different and much better if you're open to it. I promise you. 2, detachment is key as it comes to unlocking spiritual gifts, as it comes to having certain experiences that you want, such as alien contact. Detachment is key. Not thinking that you need to have a spiritual gift, or not thinking that you need to have alien contact to be a specific type of person, to have value. That is what unlocked all of the above for me. That is at least what I believe in my own perspective and in my experience. So now, since working with Rebecca, it's awesome that I have somebody who can guide me along my channeling journey to help to answer different questions that I have, because it's been so fun to like channel for clients and to do group sessions and group session channeling, which, by the way, if you're not a member of my school community, you should become a free member, because I do have some free events coming up on there where I do channel live. I'm also going to be adding more content, more behind the scenes content, at least, and different courses on that. So go ahead and check that out. But aside from the business side of Coming Out Cosmic, how has this impacted my personal life, this new gift of channeling? What the heck has been going on with me, right? I posted a TikTok video not too long ago where I was like, channeling is not for the weak. And the only way that I meant that was that it literally changes your life so much, or at least it has in my case, where you need to have a lot of inner strength to hone in on this gift, to come out cosmic about it, to share this gift with others if you so choose. Because, I mean, I thought that I might have looked weird before just talking about my alien contact experiences on social media, but now that I'm freaking channeling aliens, that is a whole nother level of insanity to some people, right? So like, this has completely made me look at my shadow, look at the parts of myself that I have been afraid to share with others. That's what the shadow is, right? You talk about shadow work, you talk about hiding certain aspects of yourself that you're afraid to bring out into the light. What channeling has done for me so far is channeling has absolutely pushed me to be my most authentic self in so many different ways. And it's not been comfortable. I've lost friends during this, guys. I have lost people with whom I've been very close. People in the spiritual community, actually, because I believe that I've been a mirror to them, showing them what their own success could be. And yet, a lot of these people are just feeling triggered by that. I don't know how else to explain that without giving too many details, because I still consider these people friends, of course, and there's more than one. I'm not trying to pinpoint anybody at all here. It is just a pattern that I've been seeing, and I'm trying to share my most authentic, vulnerable self here when it comes to losing friends in spirituality, in being your most authentic self, and when stepping into new gifts. Perhaps you have also seen or noticed in your own life where you stepped into a new amazing ability. Maybe you started sound healing, maybe you started Reiki, maybe you started making money off of that, and then other people look to you differently because they perhaps have not looked at their own shadow yet, and they have not dealt with their own feelings of inadequacy. I had to deal with my feelings of inadequacy throughout Coming Out Cosmic. I forced myself to put myself out there and be like, you know what? Social media content creation is only going to work if I heal my feelings of inadequacy. Because if I don't, and I put myself out there and I have mean comments, those could tear me apart if I'm in a space of living in my shadow where I'm feeling inadequate, where I'm feeling like I'm not valued. But fuck that. I am valuable. I am adequate. I am enough. I had to heal all of that before and during, I'd say, posting on social media. And so that has been it's been a huge obstacle, I'd say, for me when it comes to channeling, because this is a whole nother part of myself that now I have to heal. Any sort of feelings of inadequacy that I have, any feelings of, oh my gosh, this is weird, I'm weird. I have to heal all of that in order to be, I believe, successful in channeling authentically and posting it all on social media. So that's another one of the reasons why I kind of took a couple weeks off of the podcast, because I'm completely shifting into a brand new person. And this is what will happen to you when and if you start tapping into your gifts and when you start accepting them in an authentic way, and perhaps if you want to display them publicly. So that's why I go back and I say channeling is not for the weak, because you are looked at like you're fucking crazy, like you're insane. But I was reading this book called Vagrein, and it's a channeled book by what is her name? Her name is J.P. Herman. And this entity, this collective entity, was talking about insanity and how the word insane means without health or not healthy, okay? Sane means healthy. I mean, you look at Spanish and sano means healthy, sana means healthy. And so it makes sense to me because I do speak Spanish. And so it just really stuck out to me, this section in this Vagrein book, because Bagreen was saying how if people think that something is insane, what they're actually thinking is that it is unhealthy. And so this entity goes on and says, if people think that channeling higher dimensional entities and frequencies is insane, aka unhealthy, and yet they look at our society and they think that our society is healthy in the way that it operates, in the way that it's been programmed, in the way that people are depressed, mental health, blah, blah, blah. We can go on and on and on. If channeling high frequency dimensional wisdom is insane, but our society is sane, what is actually insane? What is actually healthy? And so I share that because that resonated so much with me when it comes to channeling. And that alone has given me a lot of faith and a lot of courage in coming out cosmic and coming out as a channeler now, because I do not think that channeling is insane. I do not think that it is not healthy. I think that it is absolutely a beautiful, miraculous gift that we can all tap into, that I'm so excited to share with you, because it is about damn time our society becomes more healthy, becomes more sane. I think more people should be channeling and tapping into this gift. And that's why I'm really doing my best to share as much as I can here about my experience with channeling and coming out cosmic, and having to have so much courage in this. You guys could probably feel the passion in my voice right now. Like, I am over it. I am so over it. I am so over the old programming, the third level density that we are all trying to shift out of. I am so ready to step into this next phase of coming out cosmic and just fucking do it. Because honestly, when I started channeling, I did get very, very scared. I had a moment where I was on TikTok live. I was channeling. People were into it. I had like 90 people on that live just listening in, which was a lot of people for me at that time. And after that live, I was very proud of myself, but I sat in my room for like 30 minutes in silence, just thinking, oh my God, my life is about to fucking change. And I'm sorry, I should have done a little bit of a warning here that there would be a little bit of swearing in this episode. It's funny because since I swear, the ETs will actually swear through me when I'm channeling messages about them, because they like to use my personality and my own vocabulary. They're using my brain. And so they'll like swear and they'll be like, sorry, we're just using Christine's vocabulary, which is so funny. But anyway, after that live, when I was sitting in my bedroom, I then went out into the living room, and Chris was out there, my husband, and I just started crying. And he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, dude, I'm channeling aliens. Do you know how weird and insane this is going to look like to people? So this has actually been a very wild journey for me this past month, I'd say, of channeling, because this gift is still very new, but I'm developing it more and more each day, especially with each one-on-one client, with each individual channeling session that I just do for myself. But it hasn't been easy. And so thankfully, my husband was kind of like joking around, and he's like, oh, you thought you were not weird before? And so that made me feel a little bit better, because obviously I know that like I've always been a little bit of the black sheep in the family. I've always been a little bit of the one that stood out, maybe because I do behave in a different way. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's because I've always been sensitive to energies. I'm not sure. But if you ask anybody in my family, they'd definitely be like, oh yeah, Christine, she's the odd one, which is fine with me. And as for my friends, it was even weird to tell them about channeling now. I'm still a little bit hesitant to talk to them about channeling. I've only got 2 close friends with whom I channel. And one of them is my friend Rosanna, who was already on my podcast, and we channeled together and we had a great time. And then the other one is my friend Kelsey, who I'm just so thankful. She's also on my podcast. I'm so thankful for those two who have opened up their arms and accepted this new gift. And maybe they think it's a little bit weird, I'm not sure, but at least in my case, I have an outlet to share my gift on a more personal level. If there's channelings I want to do that I don't want to release publicly to my followers or to my listeners. Now, my dad, he knows that I channel. I don't think he understands it, but he's very open to it. He's very accepting of it. I have not channeled for him yet, but I think that I will have an event on my Skool community where I channel for him for the first time. He has seen channeling before, so I know that he's familiar with it. And again, he's very open to it. My mom doesn't really believe it, but the one day I asked her if I could channel aliens in her home because I can't do it in my home. I don't even know. Brody's been crying throughout this entire episode as I wait for Chris to get home and try to manage this 2 under 2 life and this entrepreneur, this solopreneur lifestyle. It's been very, very difficult. And now I channel, so it's just one thing off on top of another. It's just been very, very wild, and I'm grateful for this journey. But I can't channel in my house anymore because it's just too chaotic. And I told my mom, hey, can I channel in your house? And she was like, sure, just let me know when. So she's supportive, which is great. I'm so thankful to have a supportive friend and family group, but it's still not easy. I still feel judged. I went to my cousin's baby's first birthday party the other day, and my cousin had asked me, she's like, so are you ever going to go back to work? And I know that she knows what I'm up to because she follows me on Facebook. Maybe she doesn't know the extent of what I do because I don't know if she follows me on any other social media. And Facebook, I don't share as much. But I told her, I was like, no, I'm never going back to the 9 to 5. I was like, I'm doing my own thing now and I'm making it work and it's great. But that was the extent in which I told her about what I do, because I know that people still judge. I know that people still are going to have a weird opinion about it. And honestly, my family is quite religious. I feel like they would probably even stop talking to me, some of them, if they knew that I talk about aliens online. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think, like, if they knew that I channeled aliens, God, they would send me to do some sort of exorcism, like some of these family members. That's what I feel. In summation, that's a little bit of what's been going on in my life. You know, I've been trying to manage how I can bring this gift to light and share it with as many people as possible, but also how I can live in a way where I won't have to go back to the 9 to 5. I can raise my 2 babies and have one-on-one sessions and maybe do monthly group sessions and make money doing this. Quite honestly, I think that the energetic exchange is very fair because channeling takes a shit ton of your energy. I was talking to my sister and I actually got a little bit hurt because my sister was like, yeah, I don't really understand or believe anything that you're doing, but hey, it's good to see that you're doing it. And so you have to deal with that type of criticism as well. And the way that I handled that is I just told her, I was like, you know what? So long as we can still have like fun together and you don't judge me, then it'll be all right. Because that's another huge lesson that I've learned with Coming Out Cosmic is that you're not going to be able to convince anybody of anything. You're not going to be able to persuade them of anything if they've already made their mind up. Even if they have a certain experience, like let's say my sister was like literally taken by aliens, her mind would probably still find a way to discredit that experience. So that's why it's so important when walking this spiritual path or when walking the path of potentially channeling. You just understand you're going to find other people on the path who don't understand you, who don't believe you, and it's okay because they are often just a mirror reflection of another shadow piece that you must be working on within yourself. And I have found that this entire channeling process has made me face my shadow, made me face my ego, made me face the egos of other people. And it hasn't been very pretty, to be honest. Some of it has been ugly, but so much of it has been so beautiful. A quick story here before I wrap up. I had a client reach out to me and she had fertility questions. Now, of course, I'm not a medical doctor. I did all of the disclaimers. You take what resonates. What you take from this information that the ETs provide you is up for your own responsibility, what you do with it, right? That kind of thing. And so simply the ET message for this person trying to get pregnant was, if your soul yearns for a baby, if you have the desire for a baby, understand that that desire was placed within you by God, by source, for a reason. And that desire alone is enough for you to have a baby. But what happens is humans become impatient. They start building blocks around themselves. They start becoming anxious. They start doing too much. They start becoming attached to a specific outcome. They don't allow for fertility to flow, for example. That is what tends to block fertility. At least this is what I had been channeling about in this situation. After that, my client reached out to me about a week later and she was like, oh my gosh, Christine, I am pregnant. Thank you so much for the wisdom of the ETs. And of course, I'm not taking any credit for that, and neither are they, but sometimes it simply is just a planting of seeds that you can get from this galactic wisdom that is so beautiful. And that's one of the beautiful upsides of being able to channel, is you get to meet people, you get to really change their life. And so even though it's been hard, even though this whole channeling has been a roller coaster for me, I am so incredibly thankful for it. I'm thankful for the people that I'm meeting. I'm thankful for this gift. I'm thankful so much for Rebecca Weidenhoff and for all of my friends and family who still love and accept me. And of course, I'm thankful for you, my listener. And with that, I think I just needed to word vomit and give you a very authentic update about what's been going on in my life. I hope that you couldn't hear too much of my son crying in the background, but Dad is home now and he's taken care of him. And so I am, again, so thankful for you all. Please go ahead and look at my free school community. It's in the show notes if you wanted more live channeling sessions and if you wanted to book a one-on-one. I do have one-on-one sessions available. Thank you so much for listening. And I promise that next podcast episode, I'll go more into some like fun stories. You know, I usually do the storytelling type podcast episodes, but for this one, I think I just needed to give you guys a raw update. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to rate the podcast 5 stars if you like it. All right, now I feel like I'm blabbing, so I'm going to go. All right, bye guys.